fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo. And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here with you. Thanks for tuning into the show, whether you're listening at www.behindenemylinesradio.us or if you're listening to us on one of our rebroadcast outlets, be it AM radio, FM radio, interweb radio. Thanks for tuning in. Or if we're traveling along with you as a podcast, we're glad to be along for the ride. You know, this was going to be a jam-packed show to begin with all the news that broke in the past week. For those of you who know, we are a weekly show, and there was already going to be so many things to talk about, but we didn't know what to talk about. I mean, we could have talked about the American Health Care Act passing the House. We could have talked about Clapper and Yates before the Senate and the fireworks there, the exchange between Yates and Ted Cruz. But no. The news cycle just got into the biggest whirlwind when President Trump fired FBI Director James Comey. Wow, is all I have to say to that. Let's get to the facts of the matter, folks. We're taping this on Tuesday this week, and you know, some of you are going to be listening to this on our rebroadcast outlets immediately, and that means that you're going to be hearing this pretty fresh. It's going to be a really, hot take moment here. And let's get the facts out before you get my hot take. The statement from the press secretary said, today, President Donald J. Trump informed FBI Director James Comey that he has been terminated and removed from office. Quote, the FBI is one of our nation's most cherished and respected institutions, and today will mark a new beginning for our crown jewel of law enforcement. A search for a permanent FBI director is beginning immediately. There are names out there already in social media. We'll get to those a little later. But what brought this on? What is the reason that President Trump decided today, of all days, to drop this bomb, so to speak, and throw the nation into a tizzy? And we'll talk about the tizzy as well, especially coming from the left, also in this segment. I don't know why the bomb was dropped today. It could be for a number of reasons. It could be because there were reports out this week that during FBI Director Comey, or I should say former FBI Director Comey's testimony before Congress, that he was not completely accurate with regards to the number of emails that were found on Anthony Weiner's computer with regards to Hillary Clinton and classified information and Hoomer Abedin and all the stuff we've been talking about since July 5th of last year. There was some misinformation and inaccuracies in that testimony that, according to FBI sources, were not what James Comey said. That could be an impetus for this whole situation. But as you go through the letter of termination from the White House, you see that President Trump states that he has received letters from the Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General of the United States recommending his dismissal, and he has accepted that recommendation. And here is where Democrats are going to be latching on to something, folks. In this letter, there is a statement that says, quote, while I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I am not under investigation, I nevertheless concur with the judgment of the Department of Justice that you are not able to effectively lead the Bureau. Now, for anybody who's been dumped in their life, that is the it's not you, it's me line, I guess. But this is what Democrats are going to hang their hat on, because Democrats are going to, and have been already, demanding a special prosecutor to investigate the facts and circumstances of this termination already. Oh, wait. Late breaking news, this just in. Democrats have already, en masse, as a unit, they have come out against President Trump's successor for director of the FBI. Even though Donald Trump has not picked a successor to the FBI. Yep, folks, this is all partisan nonsense to the hilt. But the basis for the Democrats' protest this time, they're whining, they're crying, they're bitching, they're moaning. The same Democrats, by the way, who were calling for Comey's head during the campaign season, especially in October, when he announced that he was reopening the investigation into the classified information that may have leaked as a result of Hillary Clinton's campaign and her keeping of a private server, and emails that were found incidentally in the investigation into Carlos Danger, a.k.a. Anthony Weiner, and his sexual escapades, allegedly transferring pictures with a minor. Whew, still can't get over that one, by the way. It's amazing how this thing came about for Hillary Clinton. Maybe we'll preview that in a little while as well. But let's come back around. Let's bring it back to the house. You know, you always keep sight of the house when you're little, right? When you're outside playing, and right now we're playing politically here, right? So bringing it back to sight, keeping sight of the house. There's this letter, and it's a 3-page letter from newly appointed Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, detailing reasons why, although the FBI director, who admittedly is articulate, persuasive speaker, he has great principles about leadership and in running the FBI, how he didn't do his job properly. And this is the basis for that. By the way, just for history notes, everybody's talking about Nixonian. Bill Clinton fired an FBI director in 1993 by the name of William Sessions. I don't know if you guys know this, but this is one of those convenient talking points that you're not going to see later on. So I'm kind of going stream of consciousness as you hear, folks, because this is all breaking right now as we're taping this show. This isn't like something I planned on and show prepped on and made my outline and have my internet browser open with the articles that I want to quote and paraphrase and steal from. Wait, no, I don't steal articles, do I? Yeah, I do. Of course I do. This isn't something I planned out. This isn't show prep, folks. This is stream of consciousness radio based on breaking news. Back to Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein's letter and his findings. Going back to everything that we've said on the show before, former FBI director, I gotta get used to saying that, James Comey, a good principled man, tried to do the right thing. However, he ended up doing the wrong thing in a lot of ways. Let's go back to July 5th. According to Deputy AG Rosenstein, the director was wrong to usurp the Attorney General's authority by announcing his conclusion that the case against Secretary Clinton surrounding the investigation into her emails should be closed without prosecution. This is something that I, as an attorney, had said back then. It's something we've continued to say for months, and it's good to see a lawyer backing me up, because I felt like I was going out on a limb there. But it's true. The FBI is supposed to be the investigatory body of the Department of Justice. The FBI director's job is not to usurp the power of the Attorney General, because the FBI director is not empowered to supplant the judgment of a federal prosecutor and just assume command of the Justice Department. And that's what Deputy AG Rosenstein said happened here. This is a well-established process, he said, for other officials to step in when a conflict requires a recusal of an Attorney General. If you remember back when Director Comey was talking about why he came out with his conclusions, one of the bases for his reasoning, and that he used to defend his decision, was he said that Attorney General Loretta Lynch had a conflict. Part of that conflict being that she had once been employed by Bill Clinton and a person related to the target of the investigation. So that's reason number one that they believe that he should have been terminated, that Deputy AG Rosenstein says so in his letter. Wrong to usurp the power of the AG to make determinations regarding prosecutions. FBI should just complete the investigation, present its findings, not go on TV like some reality show, or, think that you're on House of Cards or whatever the case may be, and come out with all this information and rock the foundations of criminal investigations on a federal level. But then the letter continues to say that the director, and now former director, ignored the long-standing principle that, quote, we do not hold press conferences to release derogatory information about the subject of a declined criminal investigation. In other words, when the director laid out his facts for the news media with regards to Hillary Clinton and the investigation into the email scandal, he did so as if it was a closing argument in conclusory language, basically saying there wasn't going to be any action. It was without a trial. Deputy AG Rosenstein calls this a textbook example of what federal prosecutors and agents are taught not to do. The director again defended himself, saying that the goal was to say what is true, what we do, what we find, what do we think about it. That shouldn't be the goal, though. The goal is not to announce at a press conference what's going on. The goal should be to determine whether there's sufficient evidence, then allow a prosecutor to exercise prosecutorial authority as delegated by the Attorney General and make a decision. The handling attorney decides if a prosecution is warranted, if it should be presented to a judge, or a jury should be allowed to determine the facts. That is our judicial system. And this is where Deputy Rosenstein uses some legal language. I'm going to say it for you so you can understand. We sometimes release information about closed investigations in appropriate ways, but the FBI does not do it sua sponte. Sua sponte means of their own volition, without any consultation. The letter then goes on to say that several attorney generals and deputy attorney generals from different eras and from both political parties agree with his assessment of Director Comey and how these long-standing policies of not publicizing non-public information is definitely a violation of the duties of the director of the FBI, such that the Department of Justice should recommend his termination. And it's not just Republicans in this letter, folks. There are Jamie Gorelick, former deputy AG under Bill Clinton, said that, the director had chosen personally to restrike the balance between transparency and fairness, departing from the department's traditions, and concluded that the director violated his obligation to preserve, protect, and defend the traditions of the department and the FBI. One quote I want to point to everybody is what Eric Holder said about what Director Comey did. Now remember, all this was going on in the context of the election, right? So when Eric Holder turns around and says that the director's decisions, quote, was incorrect, it violated long-standing Justice Department policies and traditions, and it ran counter to guidance that I put in place 4 years ago, laying out the proper way to conduct investigations during election season. My goodness, you have Eric Holder and the Trump Justice Department sitting at the same table together on the same side of the table. That's big right there to me. I think what we should do right now is let all this information sink in. These are the stated reasons. Next thing we're going to do when we come back, we are going to talk about the what-ifs. What if President Trump had ulterior motives? What if the Democrats are right and a special prosecutor should be appointed? There's a whole bunch of what-ifs and a whole bunch of analysis that has to come from this, and we're going to get to it right after these breaks, folks. Gene Baradelli behind enemy lines. We'll be back right after these brief words. If you're a long-time listener of the show, or maybe this is your first time listening, you can probably tell that me and the gang here, we like to have our share of fun, whether it's on or off the air. We talk about 2-drink minimum radio and no medication Wednesdays or whatever day it may be. That's why when we found the people at Less Government, More Fun, we knew it was a match made in heaven with this show. Folks, we live in a time where government is out of hand. Our founding fathers did not intend government to be all-consuming